Good morning, all of you. Today we discuss about the circulation of blood and microcirculation. We'll have a gross idea of the entire circulation of blood in the body. It is this figure. The blood comes from superior inferior vena cava to the right atrium or ear, and from below the level of heart, inferior vena cava, above the level of superior vena cava. There is no wall guarding the entry of the blood from superior inferior vena cava to the right atrium. There are no walls here. They will enter the right atrium when right atrium is relaxing. Then pressure gradient allows. This will allow. There is a free movement of blood here, depending on because the pressure here is almost zero in the superior inferior vena cava. And pressure here is changing depending on the phase of the atrial contraction. When during atrial systole, there is high pressure, so blood cannot enter. In diastole, blood enters slowly as per the pressure gradient. Now, once blood has entered here, it is filled with blood. Even during the whole heart relaxation, when the atria is relaxing, when the AV valve opens, when whole heart relaxing, both all chambers of the heart relaxing, in that period, because it is lying above the atria is lying above the ventricle, so gravity plus the here it is full of blood, less blood. The filling phases of ventricle. First rapid filling and slow filling phase, and third filling of the ventricle will occur during the atrial systolic phase. So once the blood has come here, provided the bicuspid valve is normal, there is no stenosis. Provided there is no atrial arrhythmia, atrial fibrillation, flutter, arrhythmia is not there, then provided the walls of the atria are strong enough to have a sufficient contraction, so the blood, whatever blood present here, will come down in the right ventricle. When the ventricular systole starts, when AV valve closes, at that time the right ventricular blood will go to the pulmonary trunk, provided there is no pulmonary valve stenosis, provided that all the walls are healthy and there is a powerful contraction of right ventricle. And because of course both ventricles contract together, and that will go easy, and there is no fibrillation, there is no right bundle blood block, there is no abnormality, then the right ventricle when contracts, blood will go to the pulmonary trunk. And so you can see the pulmonary, through the pulmonary wall, it goes the pulmonary artery, and then right and left side, and it will perfuse the pulmonary circulation and go to the lungs, get oxygenated there, and comes to by 4 pulmonary veins, 2 from the right lung and 2 from the left lung. There are 4 pulmonary veins directly open on the left atrium. The separate openings are there, and it is a pure oxygenated blood. Here it was deoxygenated blood because whatever come from superior vena cava came to the right atrium, came to the right ventricle, and go to the pulmonary trunk and pulmonary arteries. That is the deoxygenated blood. Here it is now oxygenated because it will pass through the lungs, getting oxygenated. 4 pulmonary veins directly opening in the left atrium. There are no walls guarding the left atrium. Whenever the atrial contraction is not there during atrial relaxation, during the 3 ventricular filling phases, first rapid filling phase, slow filling, and last rapid filling due to atrial systole. Same way as over here. This, when it is fully completely filled with blood. Again, there is no wall guarding the pulmonary veins and atrial left atrium. So the free flow of blood is for the pressure gradient. When the pressure in the left atrium is less during relaxation phase, 0.70 second, the blood will enter from pulmonary veins to over here. Then same as here, the blood will go down to the left ventricle, provided there is no mitral stenosis, provided there is no abnormality in the contraction, there is no arrhythmia in the atria, and this all blood will come in the left ventricle. Now this is a purely oxygenated blood, and this oxygenated blood will, provided there is no aortic stenosis and the walls are normal, no left ventricular arrhythmia, in that case the blood will pass to the aorta. Blood will pass to the aorta, and so in both sides, when the both ventricles contract together, from the right side will pass to the pulmonary trunk, from the left side will pass to the aorta. And the you can see the same thing is written here. From inferior and superior vena cava, blood enters the right atrium freely as per pressure gradient. During the relaxation of atria, there are no one-way valves over here. Between the vena cava and atria, on both sides there are no valves. So same way from four pulmonary veins, the oxygenated blood will enter the left atrium freely during the atrial relaxation phase. There are no one-way valves there. From the atria, right and left, both blood goes down to the right and left ventricles in the first rapid filling phase, slow filling phase, and last rapid filling phase, which is due to atrial systole. Provided there are no abnormalities of the valves, no disturbances of the atrial rhythm, and atrial contraction are sufficiently powerful. From the right ventricle, the deoxygenated blood will go to the pulmonary artery, pulmonary trunk, and arteries. From there to the arteries of the both lungs to get oxygenated. Provided that the pulmonary wall is normal, there is sufficient power for contraction of the right ventricle, no disturbed rhythm of the right ventricle, no RBB. The amount of blood ejected per beat per right ventricle is about 70 milliliter, and it is called stroke volume. Same from left ventricle, the oxygenated blood will go to the aorta, from there to the descending aorta and arteries of the entire body. Provided the aortic wall is normal, there is sufficient power for contraction of left ventricle, there is no disturbed rhythm of left ventricle, no LBB. The amount of blood ejected per beat from left ventricle is 70 milliliter. It is called stroke volume. The aorta is having greatly elastic walls. So during the diastole, when no blood is coming to aorta from ventricle, elastic recoil of the aorta will maintain the minimum pressure of 80 millimeter mercury during the diastolic phase, thereby ensuring blood perfusion to the organs constantly. Otherwise, during the blood perfusion to the organs will become zero during diastolic phase. It does not happen because of the elastic, thick, very powerful elastic wall of the aorta. Same with the pulmonary artery, to lesser degree, a pressure of 10 millimeter mercury is maintained in the pulmonary trunk. From the aorta, the first arteries arise are coronary arteries, then all the subclavian and carotid, renal, and all other directly from descending aorta. To the elastic arteries, then muscular arteries, then arterioles, then meta-arterioles, capillaries, arteriovenous preferential channels, venules, smaller veins, bigger veins, and vena cava. This is the way. If you see the blood, because the pressure is generated in the left ventricle. Great pressure is just generated in left ventricle. So pressure is, see here, in left ventricle range of pressure is from 0 to more than 120, more than 120 actually. Where in aorta, the pressure range is 80 to 120 only because of the great elastic wall of the aorta. That is we'll see it will come afterwards. This one. This is the left ventricle. This is aortic wall. When this is normal and there is powerful contraction over here, blood will go to the aorta. And it will expand because of the lot of pressure has come from the left ventricle, 120, over 120 you can say, and then it has expanded. And during the systolic phase, when the ventricle systole, there, a lot of blood will pass there, and the extra amount of blood because of the expansion of the aorta over here. And these then during the diastolic phase, when the aortic wall is closed, the expanded blood which was there, it will be pushed back by the elastic recoil of the aorta. And blood supply to the descending aorta and or arteries will go on. The pressure will be less, of course, minimum up to 80. But blood supply, which was a lot of blood was stored here because of the expansion of the aorta. These will be supplied by the elastic recoil of the aorta. This is very significant because the minimum pressure does not fall below 80, and blood is also there in the aorta because of the aortic expansion during systolic phase. This blood will be given to this. So some amount of blood at the pressure of 80 millimeter mercury will go on supplying to the all the arteries and all the we are arising from the aorta. The most important, the first branch to arise from aorta is coronary. If this would not ever happen, then you imagine coronaries would not have get blood supply because coronaries get mainly blood supply during diastolic phase. So heart itself would not have survived. So this elastic recoil of the aorta is very significant in maintaining the blood supply, minimum blood supply during diastolic phase. So you can see this is the pulse of the 80 120 because lot of it from 0 120 during systolic phase, a lot of blood has come from the left ventricle. It has more than 120 pressure millimeter of mercury. In aorta, it will have pulse like 120 and 80, 128. This is in aorta, you see very significant pulse. Then comes the big arteries, they are called elastic arteries. There also they'll almost maintain the same pulse. In the it's just like aorta, they also have powerful elastic wall. Then comes the smaller arteries which are called muscular arteries. They have more muscular cord. So the amount of pulse will reduce. Muscles are also elastic, but these are exclusively elastic properties. So some pulse is maintained, systolic blood pressure, then this is mean blood pressure in aorta. You can see it's around 100 and then slowly falling. Then most important is arterioles, during which phase you have the narrowing of the lumen and there is a sudden fall in pressure. You can see this one from arteriole from here. The mean pressure suddenly falls. So it's the area of resistance. Arterioles, the thick walls, and it is also controlled by sympathetic nervous system. So lumen is controlled per need, and so there is a great area of resistance that is arterioles, and the pulse amount of pulse will greatly reduced. This was the pulse was 80 to 120, 40 millimeter was the pulse pressure. Difference between systolic and diastolic. That is go on reducing over here in muscular arteries. And then in arterioles is greatly reduced. And as you reach capillary, there is no pulse. You can see here. The pressure is below 40 millimeter of mercury in capillaries and it is constant. There is no pulse in capillary. Pulse almost dies in the arterioles. Rapidly dies. In later part of arteriole, you don't have any pulse. So the capillaries don't have pulse, like increase and decrease during systolic and diastolic phase. Then the artery end of capillary, then venous end of capillary. At the end of capillary, you have very little pressure. It is not shown here. It is shown something more, but actually pressure goes very near to zero in venules. So the veins from the below level of heart merge in inferior vena cava and above the level of heart in superior vena cava. That you know. That is another view of the circulation of blood. That is the you can see here. This is the simplified view. Superior inferior vena blood comes freely in the right atrium from there to right ventricle during the ventricular filling phases. As the ventricular contraction starts, heavy valve will close. After some time, this pulmonary valve will open and the blood will go to the both pulmonary artery and lungs. This is getting oxygen there, removal of CO2, and it is getting oxygenated, red color. So the oxygenated blood enters freely from all pulmonary veins to the left atrium. There is no wall here. Same way, there is no wall here. So freely enters in the atrial uh, relaxation phase and is per pressure gradient. And then from the when there is a filling phase of ventricle, three ventricular filling phase. During that phase, blood will pass to the left ventricle. Both ventricles are contracting, relaxing together. And blood will from the aortic valve during the ventricular systolic phase. This valve will close, this will open. Blood will go to the aorta and then descending aorta to the systemic arteries and then the arterioles and then the capillary bed. So from here in capillary beds, the CO2 is given back to here to the tissues. Oxygen is given to tissues. CO2 is taken back. So because of the CO2 is entered, it will turn violet color, and oxygen has gone out in the tissues. So it is the venous end of capillaries, then venules, and then veins, again coming back to superior inferior vena cava to the right atrium. So this is the grossly you can say this is the circulation. Then the capillaries in the lungs, as they get oxygen, they become red, and these are pulmonary veins. Blood carrying to the heart is veins. Four pulmonary veins coming over here. So this is the same systemic where so reverse happens. Oxygen is given out, CO2 is taken in, so it becomes violet. The same way, it is shown in another sketch how blood is moving from here. By arrow it is shown from here to here. Then coming back from here, these four pulmonary veins, these are pulmonary veins, these are pulmonary veins. Four directly, independently enter in the left atrium. This oxygenated blood, the oxygenated blood current is from atrium to left ventricle to aorta and then various branches of aorta. This is the more clearly shown the four pulmonary veins, two from the right lung, two from the left lung. These all four pulmonary veins directly enter by independent opening. There is no wall here. Enter the left atrium and then left ventricle aorta. This is the all the branches of the aorta, including the coronaries from here. From the root of the aorta, it gives coronary artery, then subclavian artery, carotid artery, and all other branches, renal and all these. They are the the anatomy of the arteries, veins in the lungs. The same two pulmonary artery and two from here. They enter in the it is shown here four pulmonary veins. They enter in the pulmonary veins carry oxygenated blood goes to the left atrium. This is the same thing I told you. This is the main arterial pressure. And this is another way. That is the you can see the uh, changes of pressure within the left ventricle is from 0 to 120, more than 120. A huge pulse from 0 to more than 120. But it shortens to in aorta to 80 to 120. The pulse becomes reduced. Minimum is 80. Then it goes on reducing in the arteriole becomes very minimal. It almost disappears in the later part of arterioles. Capillary there is no pulse. Then venules etc. They don't have a pulse. This is the exact blood pressure profile in the whole circulatory system. What is the pressure? Aorta 80 to 120, large arteries, same thing, small arteries somewhat reduced, then arterioles suddenly reduced, is a maximum reduction in the because it offers maximum resistance. So sudden fall in blood pressure, and in this case, and pulse also disappears at the end of arterioles. Then the capillaries, then you can see here very near to zero, the venules, it becomes zero in later part of venules. Then it is zero in small veins, zero in large veins, zero in superior and vena cava. Then in pulmonary arteries, and in this is the right atrium during the systolic phase, etc. It increase the pressure. Then in pulmonary artery, there is significant increase in pressure. There is a pulse also, 2510 millimeter mercury pulse. Then you can see the pulmonary arterioles. Again, it reduces, pulse almost disappears at the end of pulmonary arterioles. Then these are pulmonary capillaries and pulmonary venules, then pulmonary veins. So this is the whole profile of the pressure, the blood pressure in the various systems, including the veins, right atrium, left atrium, everywhere. This is the same thing which is on the circulatory pressure, average 100 average pressure 100 millimeter mercury in the aorta. In the large arteries also, average pressure is 100. Small arteries it reduces. Then arterial, there is sudden, you can see the sudden drop in the average pressure in arterioles, maximum drop in pressure. Then in the capillaries, it is going, it is shown here, but actually it is still lesser than, it goes very near to zero, slightly more than zero in the end of capillaries. Then venule, it becomes almost zero in the latter part of venule. Small vein 0, large vein 0, vena cava 0. Again, same thing. This is the average pressure. And is the in the atria, then pulmonary arteries, pulmonary arterioles, capillaries, like this. The important thing here is if you see the vascular tree, the amount of cross-section area centimeter square, the vascular bed gets. So in capillary, you get huge amount of area. Cross-section area of the different vessels of vascular bed. This is aorta and arteries. This area somewhat increases in the, you can see the small arteries and arterioles, the area increases. But in capillary, there is huge area. This number of area available, because the capillaries are crores and billions. So the area suddenly increases. And velocity of blood is just reverse of the area, because area, if you increase the area, the blood velocity will suddenly fall. So velocity of blood falls in the capillaries, in the arterioles and capillaries, with minimum velocity of blood. Then again, it somewhat increases in the venules and veins, but naturally, veins in vena cava, blood velocity is much less than the arterial side. You can see the velocity. Now, how the blood is distributed in different organs? The out of 5 liters of cardiac output, that means in 1 minute, left and right, both ventricle, they eject 5 liters of blood, because stroke volume is 70 milliliter and heart rate is 75, about 75 into 70 milliliter. It approximately about 5 liters of blood ejected per milliliter per minute. This is called cardiac output. How much blood gets in 1 minute, different organs? He said GITL liver 1400 per minute, 24% of the total blood. Kidney gets 1100 to 1200 milliliter in 1 minute, it is 19% of the total blood. Brain gets 750 milliliter, about 13%. The heart gets 250 milliliter blood in 1 minute, about 4 to 5%. Skeletal muscle, this is at rest. Otherwise, when the exercises goes on or running, this blood supply to skeletal muscle greatly increases. At rest, skeletal muscle constitutes 40% of the weight of the body. So, compared to this size, this is minimum at rest. It is 1200 milliliter about 21% of the total. Skin gets 500, about 9%. Other organs 600, about 10%. So total, if the cardiac output is 5 liter, 5.8 liter, then this is the distribution. Same way, you can see cardiac output, and this is the left heart. The brain gets 55 milliliter per 100 gram of tissue per minute. This is 14%. And this is the brain gets about 55 milliliter. Heart gets about 70 milliliter per 100 milli. Per 100 gram tissue, that is the heart gets 70 milliliter because it's constantly working. Constantly working. Brain can rest during the sleep. Liver gets 100 milliliter per 100 gram of the digestive system because their liver is also a huge factory. But here you can see 400 milliliter per 100 gram. The kidney, huge supply because you want to filter the whole blood. You remove the waste products. So not only the requirement for the kidney tissues for survival, not only that, but lot of extra blood is given because of the you want to filter the blood, remove the waste products. So specific work. So huge blood supply per 100 gram tissue, that is 400 milliliter. That is the kidney. You can see the maximum in the body for 100 gram tissue. Maximum blood is given to the kidney because you want to filter the blood. Creator muscle very minimal at rest. 5 milliliter only per 100 gram tissue. The skin also 10 milliliter per 100 gram tissue, and minimum is bone because these are such structure minimally require 3 milliliter per 100 gram tissue. This is the percentage how distribution is there. This is the same thing. Distributes output at rest. Same way as we told renal 1100, digestive tract in about 1400, muscular 1000 to 1200. Then the coronary artery 250 for about 5% cutaneous, and the cerebral 7 to 750, 14%. I told you this aorta, very peculiar thing because when the aorta expands, the systolic phase, not only it is elastic, but it stores a lot of blood because it is expanded. And so, when this closes, this extra blood which is given to the organs in form of maintaining the minimum pressure. Without giving blood, you cannot maintain the pressure. So, blood is given by is stored by the aorta. This is the same thing, arterial structure. This is the aorta, large artery, then small artery, then you have arteriole, then capillaries, the venules, veins, and vena cava. So these are the large arteries as a distribution channels. They act as distribution channels. Then the arterioles and small arteries, they act as resistance channel. They reduce the pressure, disappear the pulse because before you get to the capillary, you should be prepared. Very high pressure, rupture the capillary and will not help. So the area of distribution, this is area of resistance, then area of exchange in capillaries. Whatever is to go into the tissues, whatever is to take into tissues, the area of exchange. And then area of capacitance. Now there is no, you don't have pressure in. A lot of blood is stored here. That is called capacitance. So after the blood has come here, slowly it will move here, but lot of blood, 80%, more than 80% of blood is stored in the venous system. So distribution channels, resistance channels, exchange channels, and capacitance channels. The same thing, this is the microcirculation. Let us see the microcirculation. This is the, in microcirculation, exactly what are the various structures involved? Arterioles. In arterioles, you have the elastic tissues and myoepithelial cells, and then meta-arterioles. You have the meta-arterioles, you can see, and then you have the true capillaries here. They are the capillaries. And sometimes there is a pre-capillary, before it enters to the capillaries, there is pre-capillary sphincter. There is the area which has got more elastic myoepithelial cells. Almost because of the myoepithelial cells, it can close the sphincter and control the entry of blood in the capillaries, because they are supplied by nerves. The arterioles and precapillary sphincters, they are supplied by nerves. So you can, if you close this sphincter or very minimal entry in the capillaries, the blood will pass in the preferential channel. Without much exchange, blood can directly pass from artery to the venous side. These are preferential channels. A sort of shunt, artery venous shunt, you get, true shunt, not completely, but partially that can happen. You can see here, they are preferential channel. They can be, because they have the myoepithelial cells, elastic fibers, they can be constricted and even closed. If you want to pass more blood over here, they can be constricted, and the sphincters may be open. So that is the important thing to understand why there is a lot of regulation this micro level, microcirculation, and the you can control how much blood should pass there, how much blood pass to the true capillary, how much blood pass to the preferential channel, and you have the venules and then veins. The veins, you start some contraction of the veins can be possible. So it can regulate the blood flow. Diameter of the arterioles, etc. We see in detail this is the exchange of gases and nutrients in the level of respiratory membrane or in the lungs. What will happen in lungs? This is the structure. There is fenestra is there between these, where you can pass the uh, material can pass from here. These are tight junctions. These are tight junction between cells, and there is fenestra. And this is basal lamina. This is the nucleus of the endothelial cell. This is the RBC. So it can pass like this. In the even in tissue level, this is we will see detail. What are the pressures? There is a blood pressure here. It is called hydrostatic pressure. And blood pressure here, that is called interstitial fluid pressure. Or hydrostatic pressure of interstitium, hydrostatic pressure of the capillary, the blood pressure here. There are two forces which will oppose each other, and another the osmotic pressure of the plasma proteins and osmotic pressure of the interstitial fluid. So it is much more here, it is much less here. In same way, blood pressure here is more, blood pressure here is less, interstitial pressure here is less. So they will oppose each other, and they will try to retain fluid over here internally. This is because they will try to push capillary pressure, hydrostatic pressure, blood pressure of the capillary will try to push the fluid out. Same way interstitial pressure here, try to push the fluid in. But the osmotic pressure is different. The osmotic pressure of plasma will try to retain the fluid here. Interstitial osmotic pressure will try to retain the fluid here in interstitium. So ultimately the balance of pressure is that the 11 millimeter mercury, there is a net pressure out of all four pressures. These are called Starling forces. The net pressure is outwards. There is ultrafiltration. The pressure, under pressure, the blood with the fluid and other substances, crystalloids, they are filtered out from the capillary toward the artery end of capillary. This artery end, the net pressure is from inside to outside, 11 millimeter mercury. That goes on reducing. In middle, it becomes neutral. Then toward the venous side of capillary, insert pressure become more, and ultimately there is a 9 millimeter reabsorption pressure. That is pressure inside towards this thing. So this from middle onwards, the fluid enters in, CO2 enters in, other waste products can enter in, the nutrients goes out, and oxygen goes out in the artery end. This is the same thing. Lipid soluble CO2 and O2, they rapidly move, and the water soluble medium molecules, water soluble small molecules, and water soluble large molecules at a slower rate. So their diffusion according to size and solubility of the material. according to solubility and size of the material. That will, if lipid soluble, they will rapidly move, and if it is water soluble large molecule, they slowly move. And water soluble medium molecule, some medium speed, and water soluble small molecule at very good speed, and water at very high speed. This is diffusion of material. They are the Stalling force. I told you same thing. The Stalling force, the blood pressure and osmotic pressure, or it is all called hydrostatic pressure. Hydrostatic pressure inside the capillary, hydrostatic pressure outside the capillary. There is interstitium. Same way, the oncotic pressure, that is the osmotic pressure of the plasma proteins. That is called oncotic pressure. Oncotic pressure is within the plasma, outside the plasma in interstitium. They will oppose each other. These are called Stalling forces. And the hydrostatic pressure of capillaries, it is called PC. Hydrostatic pressure in the interstitium, PI, interstitium. Oncotic pressure in capillary, this is oncotic capillary, and oncotic pressure in interstitium, I. So this is the actually what happens in the pulmonary area. This pulmonary capillary, pulmonary artery, and then it is divides into pulmonary capillary. So its color is violet. Lot of carbon dioxide, 46 partial pressure of CO2 here, 45 to 46. So CO2 moves in the alveolus. Oxygen moves here, so it become red. Slowly becoming reddish, and here become red. And this now this CO2 is 40, oxygen is near 100, and it is fully oxygenated. And this goes to the venules and then pulmonary veins with oxygenated blood. This is the alveolar. Same thing here. Oxygen deficient blood from the pulmonary artery. This one, oxygenated blood from the pulmonary vein. Alveolus capillaries. This is the same thing which I told you. This is the oxygen deficient violet color. The CO2 will go, oxygen will end, so color will change dramatically. These are the how fluid behavior occurs at various pores because of this -8 surface tension here, and here the hydrostatic pressure and the osmotic pressure. The in the capillary, in the pulmonary area, the hydrostatic pressure of blood pressure and capillary at the artery and is slightly less. It's compared to systemic capillary. This is +7, and osmotic pressure is saying -28. That is, it try to cook the fluid. Then interstitial pressure, it is -8 over here in the pulmonary interstitial, and the osmotic pressure is -14 in the pulmonary interstitial. And surface tension is there. This is -8 in alveolus. So that and remaining thing, whichever remains there, it goes in the lymphatic pump, lymphatics. This is the same thing is shown. Beautifully you can see the violet color. As the oxygen enters in and CO2 goes out, it slowly goes the red color, and then pulmonary vein. It is like this. This is a alveolus, the air inside, and surrounding the alveolus, you have the blood moving in the capillary wall. So it was violet, and now it is bright red. As it goes from one end of the alveolus to another end of the capillary, another end of the alveolus, here the completely deoxygenated blood, violet color blood, when it goes out from this alveolar wall to pulmonary vein, it becomes bright red. So, it process main is removal of CO2 and induction of O2 here. It's in very beautiful manner. If you see pulmonary circulation following exchanges take place. This is the figure which you can very well understand very well what happens. This is the inspired air PO2 is 160, PCO2 is 0.3. When expired air, when comes out of the nose of expired air, it contains PO2 120 and PCO2 27. So we are expelling PCO2 is 0.27. Here is 27.3 and it is 27. So we are expelling a lot of oxygen out in the environment. And PO2 because 160 in the fresh air become 120. So we have taken in body oxygen in and we have expelled CO2 out. Now the same thing if you see all the partial pressures in the pulmonary vein, the PO2 PCO2 is 45, PO2 is 40 or more. Yeah, it is written here 40, maybe more also, but PCO2 is 45, 46. That is inside the alveolus. PO2 is 104, PCO2 is 40 inside the alveolus. So it achieves the whatever is there in alveolus that it is achieved over here. So PO2 becomes whatever is there in alveolus, it becomes 104, and it is PCO2 is becomes 100 only 40. It was 45. So PCO2 is thrown here, it becomes 40, and PO2 becomes 104. Whatever there is alveolus, it is achieved here. And then when it comes in the pulmonary vein, PO2 is 95 because some blood is mixed in the lung veins, which is with impure blood, that mixes over here, and that is causes PO2 95 and PCO2 40. That is contained in pulmonary veins. And same way when it comes to the arteries, then aorta and arteries, the PO2 is 95, PCO2 is 40. And then in capillaries, when the artery end of capillary, there is exchange. So in tissues, PCO2 is 46, PO2 is only 20 in the tissues. So there is exchange, and when toward the venous end, the capillaries, PCO2 become 45 and PO2 has become 40 because a lot of oxygen has been given, or even more here. And then same is transported in the inferior and superior vena cava, same thing over here. So this is the way the exchange of gases occurs in the respiratory membrane. This is microcirculation in the tissue level. Blood flows, hydrostatic pressure, osmotic pressure opposing each other, as I told you. And in the same way, both pressure in the interstitial fluid. Micro important in transport of nutrients to tissue, site of waste product removal. Over 10 billion capillaries with surface area of 500 to 700 square meter perform the function of solute and fluid exchange. That we have seen already. This figure. This is the arteriole, meta-arteriole, preferential channels, precapillary sphincters, true capillaries, and all lead to venules and veins. So microvessels include terminal arterioles, meta-arterioles, capillaries, and venules. Arterioles carry oxygenated blood. In addition to this blood vessel, the microvessel also includes lymphatic capillaries and collecting ducts. Main function of the microvessel is delivery of oxygen and nutrients and removal of carbon dioxide. It serves to regulate the blood flow and tissue perfusion, thereby affecting blood pressure and response to inflammation, including edema, that is swelling. Most vessels of the microcirculation are lined by flattened cells of the endothelium. Many of them are surrounded by contractile cells called pericytes. Endothelium provides a smooth surface of the flow of blood. That is it can regulate the blood flow. A removement of water and dissolved material into the interstitial plasma. Let us see the structure. This is the minute structure of the capillary wall. Total thickness of capillary wall is about 0.5 nanometer, and 500 to 700 meter square is the area total, and 4 to 9 nanometer. And the cell, these are the various endothelial cells. This is the plasma lemon vesicles, then vesicular channel. Between two cells, the vesicular channels are there. Some large particles can move. So this is the continuous epithelium. Now fenestrated epithelium. There is a lot of gap between two cells. Then discontinuation, some lot of gap. So large molecules will pass from here. This is fenestration, this is discontinuation, this is continuous. This is the basement membrane. The basement membrane discontinued over here. You can see. Even there is a pore in basement membrane. So the large particle come here and from basement membrane it can pass. These are fenestrations. The vessels arteries are called the arterioles. Which arterioles are innervated very well. So and their lumen is 10 to 100 micron in diameter. The arterioles carry blood to the capillaries which are not innervated. Capillary is not innervated. So whatever influence, nervous influence you want to exert, it can be exerted on the arteries only. Capillary cannot be exerted because they are not innervated. And capillary don't have smooth muscles. So capillary cannot contract. And they are about only 5 to 8 nanometer in diameter. Blood flows out of capillary into the venules, which have little smooth muscle and are 10 to 200 micron. Venule size is 10 to 200. Arterioles is 10 to 100 micron. So blood flows from the venules into the veins. Meta-arterioles connect the arterioles and capillaries. A tributary to the venule is known as thoroughfare channel. I shown you, this is a thoroughfare channel, precapillary sphincters. This is precapillary sphincters. Arterioles, these are the meta-arterioles because you have these are precapillary sphincters. Because capillary don't have any smooth muscles, so they can contract. These are the capillaries. Then, so don't have any, but precapillary sphincters have the myoepithelial cells and plus the some contractile elements. The micro has three major components: precapillary, capillary, and postcapillary. The precapillary sector arterioles and precapillary sphincters participate. The function is to regulate the blood flow before it enters the capillaries and venules by contraction and relaxation of the smooth muscle found on their walls. Smooth muscles are there on the precapillary sphincters and arterioles. And where the substance or gases exchange take place in the capillaries, interior fluids. Finally, the postcapillary sector is represented by postcapillary venules, which are formed by a layer of endothelial cells that allow the free movement of these substances. So in venules, there is a endothelial cells are there, it's a gap there between the endothelial cell you have seen penetrated, etc. So they allow the free movement of substances. Most vessels of the bicocell are lined by flattened cells of the endothelium. Many of them are surrounded by contractile cells called pericytes. The endothelium provides a smooth surface for the flow of blood and regulate the movement of water and dissolved material in the interstitial plasma between the blood and tissues. The endothelium also produces molecules that discourage the blood from clotting unless there is leak. Endothelium produces such substance, the blood does not clot. The pericyte cell can contract, decrease the size of arterioles, and thereby regulate blood flow and functions. The pericyte has some role in the arterioles, etc. So they can contract these. This is the exact artery end of net filtration is 10 millimeter mercury. How? Because the hydrostatic pressure is 35, that is the blood colloidal osmotic pressure 25. So net pressure is 10 millimeter mercury. In mid capillary, 0. So there is no movement. In venous end, the net filtration pressure is minus 70 because capillary hydrostatic pressure is 18 millimeter mercury, blood pressure decreases when the blood colloidal osmotic is 25. So minus 70 absorbs the contents, so reabsorption. So these are the tissue side, this is tissue side. So it filters in the artery end, there is no movement in middle and it absorbs back from tissue on the venous side. Same thing, there is no movement between and absorbs during the minus 70 millimeter mercury. There is a net absorption pressure. Here filtration pressure is plus 10 In addition to the blood vessel, the microvessel also include lymphatic capillaries and ducts. Main function of the microvessel: delivery of oxygen, nutrients, removal of carbon dioxide. Also regulate blood flow and tissue perfusion. They are affecting the blood pressure, resistance to inflammation or edema. How the microcirculation is regulated? Acute regulation by tissue metabolic activity. That is very important. Decrease oxygen level, increase CO2 and other metabolites that cause relaxation of precomparative sphincter and arterial dilatation. Arterial vasodilatation and relaxation of precomparative sphincter. That will lead to open the increased number of open capillary. Capillary sphincters are open. At rest, many are closed. Pericomparative is closed. It goes to the preferential channels. So number of capillaries open are more now because of the tissue decrease oxygen and increase CO2 and other metabolites accumulation. So it causes increase in the increased capillary blood flow, arterial dilatation, increased capillary blood flow. So increased delivery of oxygen, more rapid removal of CO2 and other metabolites. And that will lead to capillary surface area available, more capillary surface area available for the exchange, and diffusion of distance from the cell. This is increase more capillaries, so decrease or more capillary surface area and cell to open capillary. That is the concentration of gradient these metabolites between the blood and tissue. The exchange between blood and tissue. This is the how it is regulated through nerves. Primary arterioles innervated by sympathetic. Secondary and tertiary arteriole less smooth muscle, sparsely innervated. Then precapillary sphincters at the start of capillary and terminal arterioles. That is these are the through nerves, and these are those who are not innervated. They are through the metabolites. They are controlled and they regulate the flow to the capillary. And the same thing which you have seen. Constrictive substance cell there, that the vascular smooth muscle responds to substances which are produced in local metabolites, etc., and histamine, and then that will be controlled. Same way, this is area of regulatory area. This is regulatory area. Small arteries, because they are innervated by the sympathetics, arterioles heavily innervated, and the venules, these are because of these are also innervated, but otherwise those who are not innervated, they are controlled by precapillary sphincter and last part of arterioles. These are by metabolites. Not all capillaries open at a given time. It I told you. So terminal arterioles myogenic reaction. It is called Baylis reflex. Neurovegetative control, humoral and tissue generator mediators, local metabolite regulation, intercourse and stress, nitric oxide. That is extremely complicated mechanism. How the microcirculation is regulated. Metabolite with hypoxia, ATP, not ATP but ADP. If ATP, ADP and AMP, they are powerful vasodilators. Then pH, increased temperature. These are all. And then para and autocrine, nitric oxide and endothel CO, ion equilibrium, contracted muscle cell, transport system, channels, receptors. They are a microcirculation. Now it is also a mystery. It is very well regulated as per need of the tissue. Mainly by metabolites and then something about by the nerves. Long-term regulation is increased to growing tissue. If there is an increased demand, then what will happen? It will be a growing tissue with increased demand over a period of days or weeks. Generation of new vessels will be generated. It is called angiogenesis, growth of new vessel. Angiogenetic factors are endothelial cell growth factor, fibroblastic growth factor, angiogenin. If there is a more and more demand, hypoxia persists, that will lead to angiogenesis. And collateral circulation, or more oxygen demand is there, then that will also lead to generation of collateral circulation. In a partial block in artery and vein, partial block in coronary arteries, or so development of new vascular channel, or it was dormant, it will be activated, allowing the partial resupply of blood to the affected area. These are the long-term blood perfusion to the microcirculation is regulated. Regulation of tissue perfusion occurs in microcirculation. These arterioles control the flow of blood to the capillaries. Arterioles contract and relax, varying their diameter and vascular tone. The vascular smooth muscle responds to diverse stimuli. Distension of vessels due to increased blood pressure is fundamental stimulus of the muscle contraction. This is the, I told you, this is the, apart from this, the vascular tone will be, because the smooth muscles are there, and you have diverse stimuli, not only nervous but local metabolites. They'll control them. As a result, the microcirculation remain constant despite changes in systemic blood pressure. Even the systemic blood pressure change because of the factors, the nervous factors or any other reason, then microcirculation is not affected because locally manipulated in the reverse manner. Blood pressure greatly increase more pressure in arteriole. There is a constriction of the sympathetic. This mechanism is present in all the tissue organs of the human body. This is the nervous system participate regulation in microcirculation. Sympathetic nervous system activate the smaller arterioles, including terminals. Nor, apart from sympathetic nervous system, what are the other regulators? Noradrenaline, adrenaline have effects on alpha and beta adrenergic receptors. We know the effect. And the catechomines, angiotensin, vasopressin, these are all, they reduce the lumen, increase the blood pressure. But we reduce the lumen, so blood, in spite of increasing blood pressure, flow to the capillary will be reduced. Atrial natriuretic peptide circulate the bloodstream and then have the effect on the microcirculation, causing vasodilatation or vasoconstriction. Some of the hormones and neuropeptide, which classical neurotransmitter. Arteriole responds to metabolic stimuli that are generated in tissues. When tissue metabolism increases, catabolic products accumulate leading to vasodilatation. So more blood is supplied and metabolites are washed away. Endothelium begin to control the muscle tone. The arterial blood flow tissue. Endothelial function in the circulation include the activation and inactivation of circulatory hormones, other plasma constituents. So this is the capillary exchange. You can see this. This is the, what are the various, this is the vessel, this is the arterial blood, this is venous blood, and there are everything, antibodies, platelets, WBCs, everything is there, and the exchange of material in the capillary can how the fluid is nutrients, waste product for go from tissues over here. This is interstitial fluid. Solute and fluid exchange. Most important means by which transfer between these are the diffusion. Main principle is diffusion. By diffusion, whatever concentration more over here, because the waste products more over here. By simple diffusion, go in the, by capillary go in the vascular system, and oxygen is more over here, so simple diffusion comes over here. CO2 more over here, so goes by simple diffusion. The most important factor here is simple diffusion, and which is this lipid soluble like CO2 and oxygen. They rapidly move the speed because cell membrane contains lipids, so they pass through the lipids very rapidly. And lipid insoluble substances like CO2, sodium chloride, glucose, they have to pass through the, because easily they will not be able to pass. So the cleft between the intercellular area between two cells, the cleft are there. There they will pass, and concentration difference across the naturally mainly by exchange being a flood and mainly by diffusion and intercellular cleft. If there is a tissue which is not uh, comes in the solution of lipid soluble is not there, or the size is more molecules, they'll pass between the two cells. This is the same determinant of net movement we have seen. This is the plasma colloidal osmotic pressure, that is this is the in plasma colloidal osmotic pressure plasma and colloidal osmotic pressure interstitial fluid, they will oppose each other same way. So net pressure whatever is there is equal to Pc minus, this is the plasma hydrostatic pressure in capillary minus plasma hydrostatic pressure in interstitial fluid. Net pressure is equal to minus, this is the colloidal osmotic pressure in plasma and colloidal osmotic pressure interstitial fluid. This gives a net filtration pressure. This is the way you can see some of the things, small water soluble substances pass through these pores. Because lipid soluble can easily pass, because CO2, O2, then pass anywhere. They can pass anywhere. But small and water soluble molecules, they'll pass through cleft between two cells. And some proteins, they pass through the movement through the vesicular transport. And form vesicle and then pass through and through and goes over here through the come out through the vesicle. And this is these are the plasma protein, etc. So these are the way in which the water filled pores, these are water filled pores. These are water filled pores. The water and the small water soluble substances pass over here. The lipid soluble pass from the cells because easily can pass, and the sodium, potassium, etc. amino acid they pass from these between two cells. And the proteins are there, they will pass through the exchange across the vesicular transport from the vessel and ultimately poured outside. So this is the way how they come out. Capillary exchange refer to all exchange micro circulatory level, blood and tissues. This is the same thing which I seen, the lipid particles, LDL particles. They pass through how they form vesicle, then come here, then again form vesicle and go out. The transcytosis. We will also see what is transcytosis. This is the way this is called transcytosis. This is endocytosis, this is transcytosis. What is endocytosis? The vesicle is formed and it remains in the cell only and may be thrown out after the process, like phagocytosis, etc. It killed here, then thrown out. In the same way, it does not pass to the other side of the cell. This is endocytosis. The transcytosis means vesicle is formed. Then this vesicle goes over here, then pour the material on another side of the cell. This is transcytosis, through and through. Here vesicle form comes in the cell, moves over here, then again vesicle is formed, thrown out. This is called transcytosis. This is important way of the formation. So we have seen this diffusion and this is also we see. So this is the today's discussion about how the circulation, or just rapidly revising. This is the how the blood moves from inferior superior vena cava to the right atrium, provided it is normal. The AV wall is normal, it will move to the right ventricle. When during the ventricular filling phase, when ventricle is contracted during ventricular systole, this will close, open the pulmonary wall, go to the lungs, oxygenated there, to the four pulmonary veins. It will come to the left atrium over here. Four pulmonary veins directly entry. There is no wall here. There is no walls here also. When there is no mitral stenosis and this is normal. There is no arrhythmia. Enter the left ventricle. And left ventricle normal contraction, no arrhythmia. Aortic wall is normal. Then when during the systolic phase, it will close, it will open here and in the aorta. And it will go to the systemic circulation. This is the blood pressure in 80 to 120 in aorta and major veins. Then in the smaller arteries, suddenly reduces in arterial. Then capillaries, same way here. This is just the repetition of the same thing. This is the four pulmonary vein, you can very easily see. Two from this side, two from this side. They're all independently entering the left atrium. This is, you can see here, four pulmonary veins, two from here, two from here. They independently enter in the left atrium. This is the same thing which we have seen. This you can see pulse throughout the circulatory system. Left ventricle has 0, more than 120, huge pulse. Becomes 0 also during diastolic phase. But does not become 0 here in the aorta. Same thing with the pressure in entire circulatory system. 80 to 100 20 in aorta, then smaller. In the large artery also, smaller arteries, this pulse reduces somewhat, average pressure become 100, become less. In arterioles, the average pressure suddenly becomes low, and pulse dissipates at the end of arterioles. Capillary, there is no pulse. Venule, there is no pulse. It's also zero in venules, zero in small veins, zero in here, vena cava, zero. Then left atrium, it rises in some pages. And during pulmonary artery, there is a pulse again, 10 to 25, and the pressure is there in the arterioles suddenly reduces in pulmonary arterioles. Capillaries, some pressure is there, becomes zero in the veins, pulmonary venules, and then pulmonary veins. Yeah, same blood pressure in profile, same thing, the mean, the same thing is there. This is the cross section area. It is great in the capillaries and even arteriole it is more. So naturally, the pressure will suddenly fall down, and velocity also suddenly fall down, because the velocity, if the cross section area is more, velocity suddenly fall down. So velocity is minimum in capillaries, also greatly reduced in arterioles. Also venules, smaller veins it is minimum. But in vein there some velocity is there, but it much less than the arteries. This is the distribution of the cardiac output. Same way, this is the 1400 in GIT and liver, kidney 1100, 50, 75. This is the one. This is the power. You can see kidney 400 milliliter per 100 gram. The huge supply because you want respiratory system to work. This is the same thing. This is very unique. I told you, systolic phase, huge supply of blood to the aorta, which is expanding, stores the blood. Then during the when it closes during diastolic phase, it gives elastic recall. It gives supply blood to the diastolic phase. This is the same thing. Capillaries, the preference channels, precapillary sphincters, meta-arterioles. These all things we have seen just now. So thank you all. Thank you very much.